Hi mate, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Good. So what we got to talk about? Brighton game, I suppose. Brighton was, as you predicted, pretty dreadful result.
Yeah. I mean, what can you do when you put out a weaker team? I mean, to be fair, it's the golf. I mean, people are saying the golfing class. I think regardless of whether Brighton put out a first or a weaker team, they're still quite a way ahead of us in terms of league position and general kind of like Premier League. I don't know what the word is. Noose, as it were.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
kind of predictable, but I think maybe the scoreline flattered them a little bit. Perhaps we weren't that bad.
I mean, as you know, I went with a very optimistic 2-2 draw.
You went crazy. It's like you've had too much sugar.
I'll be honest. I kind of expected to have what happened to happen, if that makes sense, because of just previous times with Norwich. And if we get a decent side, well, regardless if we get a decent side or not, we tend to chuck in the towel with the FA Cup a little bit, I think, which is a shame. I think it would be nice for us to be in a position where we could do a bit of a Brighton and field a half decent team and still get a good result, but we're just not there at the moment, are we?
No, I mean, I think you've got to give this season a little bit of a do that we've had we've not been very lucky with injuries.
Yeah.
And also we're playing today. No, we'll get onto that in a bit because that's my random question of the week. I'm not gonna spoil this for the listeners just yet, but when we I'll give them a little bit of a pass, I guess.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I mean, Dan, maybe we should talk about the guest before he comes on today. We've got Dan Emery on this week. He, as I said to you before we came on, I've never met Dan, but I've seen him a lot on X, Twitter, whatever it's called these days, and he always comes up with a really good, mostly positive point of view, and some interesting debate, and he always seems to spark some interesting debate on X or Twitter. So that's how I know. I don't know if you've ever seen Dan on X or Twitter before, have you?
I'm afraid I'm not a tweetee or whatever, or an Xer.
You're not a twit.
I mean, I'm sure there's a fair few people who probably think I am, but yes, I haven't. I don't really use that medium, so right. I'm afraid that I'm a little bit innocent on that front.
Right, and right on cue here is Daniel. Hi Dan, how are you?
Hello.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. Yourselves?
Yeah, good. Yeah, not too bad. You look like you're coming live from the changing room of Carrow Road.
Yeah, that is where that was. Yeah.
So for the listeners who can't see, it's a picture of Dan in a changing room with a Norwich shirt, which could be any changing room across the UK, but I'm assuming it's the one at Carrow Road.
That would be correct, yeah.
Excellent. What was that for, Dan? Was that just a stadium tour, or did you? I know it's on your X. You played at Carrow Road. Was it for that?
Yeah, I played at Carrow Road 2022 and 2023 for a. Do you remember the Fark Knight, the guy who played that character?
Yeah.
Yes.
He ran he ran a charity event.
Oh, nice.
For people to play there. There was 3 matches on each day, so I'm not going to embarrass myself doing the maths, but 22 times 3. I don't know how many people to play at Carrow Road. Yes, that's pretty decent in those 2 years. I was schooled in the second one.
I love good stuff. I love that guy. It just seems a shame that we don't have Daniel Farker anymore. So the Hoff Knight. I'm not really sure. What word to go with that.
Works, yeah.
No.
Does he still go to the games?
I don't think so. I'm not particularly close with him, but
yeah, I've seen him for a few years.
Maybe he's moved to Leeds.
So Dan, this is Morgan's my new co-host. I've just realised what you just said, Morgan.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. We're obviously welcome to Beyond the Barclay. We started the podcast 2 or 3 months ago. You know, we just the main aim is to just get fans on from Norwich fans and just ask the famous 10 questions. And Morgan has added a little element in, which I'll let you explain that, Morgan.
Oh, it's nothing too grandiose for anyone listening. It's just a random question of the week. So Jez puts together these well-calculated questions, and they are well-calculated. Jeremy is a quizzing genius, I would say. Yeah. Quiz master general. But random question of the week is something I just throw in there from time to time just to see, just to keep you on your toes, as it were.
Yeah, excellent. Dan, so just if you'd like to just introduce yourself, where you're from, what you do for a living, etc., and how long you supported Norwich for.
Yeah, I live in Lowestoft. I've struggled explaining my job sometimes. I'm not really a journalist. I write football content, but I wouldn't class myself as a journalist. It's sort of more on the it is journalism, but it's on the opinionated side rather than just report and going to matches and doing match reports and stuff like that.
Okay, that's right.
So yeah, I'm full time writing about football. So a dream job for a lot of people, I'd imagine, working from home as well.
Brilliant. Yeah.
And I've supported Norwich since I got into football quite late when I was a kid. So I've only supported Norwich since I was about 11, 12, so 2010-ish, that sort of time. Sort of the Paul Lambert era. Yeah.
That's okay. I mean, it's a good era to pick up on. I mean, sort of like as a kid, you kind of go off and on things come in, PlayStations, Warhammer, girls. That's just me anyway. So yeah, I get it.
No, that actually sums it up perfectly.
Well, Warhammer and girls,
I played Warhammer when I was a kid. Yeah.
Not a potent combination, I'm afraid.
Yeah,
they don't go well together.
No, they don't exist together.
But I always remember the Warhammer shop near the old bus station, and it used to be a combination of that and the old skate park that was in the industrial building next to the bus station as well. But
that's right. Yeah, I remember that. Good times.
Yeah, absolutely. That's brilliant, Dan. So, I mean, is that sort of freelance you do that? What sort of I don't know, publisher, I can't even speak today. Publications would you appear in that people might know?
Football Fancast. So I am a freelancer, but I've worked for Football Fancast pretty much exclusively for the last 3, 4, 5 years.
Excellent.
Since COVID, pretty much. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, well let's dive into some of the questions that I set you then. So first question today is, what's the most memorable last minute goal you've seen Norwich score?
Well, I got into football after the Simeon Jackson derby goal, so I think that's a lot of people would have. So I'm going to have to go with maybe a bit of a cop out, but it's probably the most iconic one of recent years, and that's the Pookie one against Millwall. I usually sit. So my season ticket is in the upper Norwich and Peterborough end. But for that specific game, which was just before I got a season ticket, it was one of my first games sitting in the Barclay right behind the goal. Mm-hmm. So I was right behind exactly where he hit that sort of deflected shot off the defender pass to make it 4-3. So yeah, that's got to be the most memorable one in my head.
I think Morgan, if I can interject, I think it was the story of that game, wasn't it? I think we were 2-1 up, weren't we? And then with all of a sudden Krul threw the ball out stupidly, and it fell to Millwall's striker Bradshaw possibly, and we went 3-2 down. And then wasn't it Jordan Rhodes scored in the 91st minute, and as you described, Daniel, the little through ball by Vrancic, and then Pukki just bundles it home, and what a goal that! Well, I mean, it was a bundle, but I mean, it was that goal was superb.
Yeah, I lost a hoodie hood in that celebration as well.
So you ended up with a sweater?
Essentially, yeah.
Brilliant. Morgan,
yeah. So it's this is pure Jez gold. This. Yeah. If you could manage Norwich City for one game, what would your tactics be? Now that's quite a tough question, Jez.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a cop out actually, because I'm going to say pretty much what we do now.
Give the ball away in the 6-yard box
when we're at our best.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
That's how I would envision it in my head. Sort of the way we try to, I know people get annoyed about it, but the way we sort of try and draw in the press to then play out through the middle, that's the way I'd want my team to play. So particularly the way we do it out on the left with Doyle, because I'm a left-footed player myself, so I love that
Yeah.
So
Just take it out to left, cut inside, for beating the press.
So am I. I'm a
Simple passes that are actually difficult in reality. Yeah, I'm not a boot it and chase sort of person.
So we've got 3 left-handers on this call then.
I'm not left-handed.
I'm a right-hander.
I'm not left-handed.
I'm right-handed.
Left-footed. It's weird.
I'm the other way. I'm the other way around. So I'm left-handed,
right-handed.
but I'm right-footed. How strange is that?
Funny how it works.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Dan, I'm of the same opinion as you. I think, I actually think, Morgan, I think you would I'd suppose chuck you under the bus, theoretically, but I think you disagree with that, wouldn't you? You wouldn't want to pay out above and the back.
No, I'm all about just hoof it forward and get it up to the striker and then whack it in the back of the net.
Yeah, see, I mean, I always remember I've mentioned it before. I think we had a spell about 10, 15 years ago, and I can't remember who it was under, maybe Houghton, who his tactics seemed to be lob the ball to Robert Snodgrass to head it down. It always used to be that pattern of play. And I think nowadays, as long as it's Dan, you're completely right. As long as it's played right, and as long as we can do it consistently, I'm of the opinion, let's play it out from the back. You're in control straight away. So you're not playing a percentage ball. You're playing a ball that's 95% of the time is going to fall to your left back or your centre back. So yeah, I
think. Sorry to jump in, but it's not the best example because of who said it and where his team were at the time. But Russell Martin, in a post-match recently, pointed out that their fans were getting on their back to hoof it forward. They hoofed it forward and then they gave the ball away and conceded anyway.
Yeah.
But they stopped creating chances because they just kept hoofing it forward and losing it. So I can see arguments for both, but the way I prefer it is to play out.
Yeah, I was being facetious when I said that I'd like that. I mean, I think sometimes there is a case for kind of breaking the play up, and if you know you're not going to be able to beat the press, then you long ball it, and then hopefully you can break through. I was reading something about Spurs today about that exact thing I just said there when they lost against Arsenal last night. So again, I think it's just a case of maybe mixing it up as and when. But I think both of you would probably agree right now that we lack the we lack the sort of the players to kind of perform peak throt ball. I think everyone's talked about the transition. I think it's a word that kind of gets lost in the midst by people keep saying it over and over again. I think what people mean is we're in transition of playing power and personnel on the pitch. So I think we'll see more positive impact from playing out from the back when we have that personnel in the house.
Also, I think if you want to play that longer ball, then you need that striker like Sargent to hold it up, and we don't really have that right now.
No, we don't. We haven't had for months, so it's going with what we've got.
And I think we've left ourselves short there. I don't know what you two think, but I think when we sold Ida and to some extent Barnes, we've now left ourselves short in that department. And I'm thinking of like high profile cases like look at Arsenal, for instance. Could you say they've got a nice striker? Yeah. But Arsenal are a different beast, aren't they? Let's be honest. But I think, Norwich do, the league we're in, we've always seemed to have needed 2 strikers. Like, again, look back at, we mentioned Pukki earlier for that goal, but we had Jordan Rhodes as a backup.
Who scored in that game?
Yeah, exactly. And you could argue as well that, I think he was there at the time. I don't think he ever went out on loan. So we had 3 options there,
Yeah.
Didn't we have Sabeni as well? Because he was in the first.
He was there.
So, we had options, and at the moment it doesn't seem like. So, I mean, that would be, something. I don't know whether that's sort of tactics related as such. It's probably more personnel, but I would certainly agree with you both that we do need more options in that department.
Yeah.
Well, if there was a link with Peterborough's Ricky Cade-Jones recently, wasn't there? If he's a third choice striker.
Right. So yeah, I wasn't even aware he was a striker. I thought he was a winger, but that'd be perfect. That's what we need. Has he scored something like 13 goals this season, Dan?
All competitions, yeah, I think. Something like that.
Right.
Yeah, they're not going to let him go for a pretty penny, are they? So I think
I think he's out of contract in the summer.
Oh, I think.
Okay. So it might be a reasonable deal there.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. I'll move on to the next question then. What's the most unique piece of Norwich memorabilia that you own?
I'm not a big memorabilia person, so I only have a couple of things. It's not interesting, or maybe not even unique, but I've got a signed picture of Declan Rudd from when he made his Premier League debut for us, because my dad's friends with his family, or my old stepdad's friends with his family. So yeah, that's the only. It says to Dan from Declan Rudd signed. I've got it right next to me actually. But, and I've also got my name on one of the bricks around the Gerrard stand.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, I got that for a Christmas present a couple of years ago, last year. But yeah, I have nothing else particularly unique or interesting, unfortunately.
No, I don't. I actually do have something fairly. I mean, it's old, but basically, I told Jez about this in the first podcast that he did. He interviewed me. I used to go to the Norfolk show when the Norfolk show was a thing, and there'd be a little Norwich stand, and you'd go and get your little bag of goodies, like one of those paper caps you put on your head, it spirals down. I've got like a Norwich, like a fake. It's like a photo of the 90. I think it's 92, 93 team with Dale Gordon, and it's like it's got like a picture of them and then like all their signatures, but it's not like real signatures. I found that, so I'm going to get that framed, even though it's really old though. It's almost as old as me, and I'm 40. So there you go. That's my little piece.
I've got a signed football that I won in a raffle from circa 98, 99. So you got the likes of Darren Eady, etc., and people like that were there. So it's still sitting in my wardrobe. I own about 30 shirts. I don't know if you can class that as memorabilia though.
Can I just quickly interject? Hot off the press right now. I just got an update from Norwich City Football Club saying that Matcha Jurasic has just signed. So there you go. It's almost like being on Sky Sports.
They actually quote tweeted my tweet to announce it.
Oh, here it is.
There you go.
Yeah.
Because I tweeted, I replied to someone saying, "Oh, I think it'll be tomorrow," and they said, "Oh, you better check yourself or something."
They're being threatening.
Yeah.
Signed winner Matej Jurasic from Slavia Prague for an undisclosed fee. The 21-year-old Czech international has signed a contract until June 2030. 5-year contract. Wow. Oh, so he's actually not going to be playing for us until February by the looks of it.
Yeah, so that's great. Another 2 weeks though, right? So.
Well, why is that then?
Something to do with the regulations about being from EU or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. It's just what I've seen on the Pinkin.
Well, oh yeah, okay, fair enough. I mean, if that was me, I would have waited a couple of weeks to announce that. But because now you're going to get, oh, why have we signed a plan that we can't? Do you know what I mean? You get it. You just get it, don't you? You know what? I can predict what the Pinkin's going to say now, or as we mentioned, Dan, and Twitter and X. You're going to have to put something out, mate. I'm sorry. Good. Right. What's next? Let's have a little looky. Question 4 is which away ground do you think has the best atmosphere?
I was thinking about this earlier. I think I'm going to have to say Crystal Palace because they've got that designated, if you want to call them ultras, section, and it's quite a compact ground. You can really feel the atmosphere when you're in there. I think Man United is a pretty obvious one. They had a pretty decent home atmosphere when I was there. A lot of grounds have a really bad home atmosphere. Yeah. So most of them come to mind. But yeah, I think I'm going to have to go with Palace, Selhurst Park. I
mean, would you be prepared to perhaps mention some of the ones that don't have such a good atmosphere then?
Harrow.
Yeah, QPR, Leicester.
Sorry.
Leicester is the one that comes to mind.
Leicester, yeah. I've never been to.
Yeah, I know we've done this in the past, but when I went there, they were handing out clappers and no one used them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I have to say Leicester. Leicester's the worst by far.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I always remember Coventry not being particularly great. I always thought Coventry was pretty poor. Sorry, any Coventry fans listening. I'm trying to think where else I've been. Rotherham Stadium I actually really like for a modern stadium, but the atmosphere wasn't there. And I actually think we either drew or won that. Drew or lost that game as well, and it still was poor. But in terms
of fan, Jez, I think it might be the fact that you're probably sat avoiding Championship relegation most of the time.
True. And now they're mid-table thanks to Steve Evans, but that's another story. So in terms of best away atmospheres I've ever experienced, I think Sheffield Wednesday is pretty much up there. And I don't know whether you've been when they sing that song at the start, which is what's it called? Help me out, Morgan. Hi-ho, Silver Lining. And you go, hi-ho, Sheffield Wednesday, and you've got 35,000 Sheffield Wednesday fans singing that back at you. That's pretty.
Wolves use that as well, I'm afraid.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So it's not purely for them. I'd probably say I said it last week, but Griffin Park. I'm really sad that they moved from Brentford moved from Griffin Park. Griffin Park, Royal Rovers, small vibe, really cool. Like through the terraces, pub on every corner, really good. Like just a good crowd. Like the fans are really welcoming, and you don't get that a lot anymore. So yeah, I'm sad to see them move from there.
Yeah, definitely. Have you been to any away games recently, Dan?
No. I haven't. I don't think I've been to an away game this season, unless my mind's going blank. I went to a few last season. Went to Coventry, which was depressing for a last-minute Ben Gibson own goal.
Oh yeah.
But no, I'm usually. I like to keep because I go to every home game. I like to keep Saturday open, so I don't go too many away.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, definitely. No, good. Over to you, Morgan, for the next question.
Okay, so we've had a reasonably good stint of bringing through youth players in the last 6 years. I think we probably all agree that we've sort of deviated from that path the last couple of seasons. But from your experience or knowledge, who's the most exciting youth player you've seen that's come through the Norwich Academy? It can be obviously recently or way back.
Well, I'm assuming James Maddison doesn't count because he sort of came through Coventry and the academy. So I'm going to have to go with. Can I give you a joint answer of both Murphy twins?
Oh, I don't know about that. Is that allowed, Jess?
They were pretty much the same player, but on the different flanks. So, but I remember I went when I was younger. I didn't go to games regularly because I didn't have the money when I was 11 years old. But I went to the FA Youth Cup final as one of my first sort of trips to Carrow Road. Against Chelsea, I want to say it was 2012 when both Murphys played on the wing. They were just electric, left foot, right foot. They could play with both feet, shoot, cross, anything. And obviously they both made it in the first team. And I was convinced they were both going to go on to play for England, and neither of them have.
I mean, it's a weird one because you've got to think that both of them have gone in different directions. It's crazy how. Like, is it Josh at Newcastle or is it Jacob?
Josh at Portsmouth, I think.
Okay, well Jacob's and he's still playing first team football and scoring regularly for them, and it's just an incredible story. I mean, I think imagine if he just stayed with us, where he could have gone, but I mean he's done so well. And they're knocking on fourth again, looking at Champions League spots, and it's a crazy world, the crazy world of football.
I was just about to say
he's gone on to play Champions League football, so he's done well for himself.
He has, and I think that there's 2 points there, Dan and Morgan. I think one, first point is I think everyone thought Josh was going to be the one that went through, because I think he had his breakthrough season the season before Jacob. But then when Jacob arrived on the scene, it was pretty clear that he was going to be perhaps the more successful of the two. But my second point is I don't think he's that far away from getting an England call up now, because I think the way he's played in the last couple of months. We're light in that area. I think he could be a surprise inclusion,
Especially if Thomas Tuchel goes for wing backs, he wants to play Jacob Murphy right wing back.
Exactly. Which I don't know. I don't know whether Thomas Tuchel. I don't know his tactics. I'm pretty sure he did play that at Munich, but I don't. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure.
He did with Chelsea, I know. Yeah.
Well, there you go. So yeah, it could. That could be a. Do you know what? That could be a surprise. I don't know if you can put bets on that, but maybe that'd be quite a good one to have a cheeky little bet on.
Yeah.
I like Max Aarons. I think he's still going to be. I still think he's going to be up there. I mean, I know he's just recently moved to Valencia. and I think that'll be a really good experience for him. He was frozen out a little bit at Bournemouth, and unfairly frozen out as well. And I think he'll benefit from going there. And I think you look at players like Cantwell as well. I think he was going to be exciting. Obviously, it hasn't really worked out for him, but you're right. Yeah. Maddison, we can't really count, but he's kind of gone through that system. But yeah, I think we've been really lucky in recent times, and I don't think he's going to finish either. I think we've still got lots more to come through.
I think that's, you're spot on, but I do feel like it lost its way a little bit, that conveyor belt to the first team when sort of prior to Farke's arrival, then during Farke's arrival, and then the subsequent seasons afterwards. But I think of late, it definitely, Rowe from our academy, wasn't he? Yeah. I'd say in recent times then, Cantwell aside for me because of the Derham connection, I always thought that he was, and I still think Cantwell's up there. Like I know that there's a lot of controversy around how he is, but I also I'm aware of how our fans can be on our own youth players' backs a little bit. So I still think that Cantwell, he's got his head down at Blackburn and he's putting in some decent performances and he's getting there. So I still think Cantwell for me was one of the best academy prospects that we've produced. Obviously the Derham connection was standing, and then who did you just say again? Sorry, Jez.
Well, we got Max Aarons and Jamal Lewis was the other one I forgot as well.
Johnny Rowe.
Yeah, I mean, I know that, again, controversial figures, both of my choices, but Johnny Rowe, when he wasn't injured, he sparked something out of nothing. And I think that, against Ipswich, you couldn't make it up. So I think for me, those two, the last few seasons.
Good shouts.
No, definitely. Moving on then. So, what's your favourite kit from the last 10 years?
This has been a hard one, but I've narrowed it down to one, and that is the 2018-19 title-winning Egg Crest kit. I don't know what it is. It's just maybe it's the design. I just think it just looks good.
Yeah,
that's the only explanation I have for it. I know some people weren't big fans of it when it came out. Maybe it's just because we won the title. I have a bit more affection towards it, but no, I love it.
100% agree with you. I can't think of one that's been better. It was the last kit that Araya made as well. So, notable nod to them, because I'm not sure I don't think the Joma kits have been up to much, if you want my honest opinion, but I actually think you're right. It was a little nod, wasn't it, to the 94, whenever we were in the UEFA Cup.
Yeah.
It was a little nod to that, wasn't it? And I think, I think I like the fact that we've done that with our kits, where we've sort of like, gone into the past a little bit to make a new design of it. Not done that this season, but I think, that kit for me was iconic because of, as you say, the fact that we won the league when we probably didn't expect to win it. But the manner of the win as well, the manner of the way that we played. I just wish they'd kept it for the Premier League season.
Yeah, it was a good kit. I mean, the following season kit when we went up with the green fade to the yellow wasn't too bad, but I think it just, I think there's certain kits that just define that particular era of just absolute class, and that one, I don't think the second and third was up to much. They were like the same kit design. But the home kit was really good, and it's still iconic. Like in my head, I can picture that mural in the bar in Carrow Road with Timo Pukki running away. I think that was the Millwall game, wasn't it, where they took that photo?
Yeah.
Every time I think of that kit, I think of him, and I think of that image. So yeah, it stays with you sometimes. These things.
Is that one that you own, Dan? That kit?
No, I'm not a big kit. Oh, I might have a. You know what? I forgot about this, but I might have a Tommy Tribal one. Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
Hey.
I'm not a big kit person, but I might have that one. Yeah.
Lovely. I do like Tommy Tribal. He was, wasn't he just that sort of player that we needed at that time? He was almost Tetty-esque, wasn't he, the way he played?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Trump.
Yeah,
I think it was.
DM.
Yeah, exactly. And it was just disappointing, I think, when the timing that he left. I don't really understand why we got rid of him at the time, because I think he still had another. Because he went on to play for Blackpool, surprisingly.
And Blackburn.
Was it Blackburn? Oh, it was Blackburn as well.
Both of them. We played both of them.
That's right. Yeah. Bizarre. I just think we could have done with him for another year or two. I just don't understand why we got rid of him.
Yeah.
But I mean, the players around that time as well. We had a real, for understandably, because the manager was German, but we had a real influx of real talented German players. I mean, the one for me that I think is quite controversial, because I don't think a lot of people did like him, but I think Mo Leitner.
Yeah.
I knew
you were going to say him.
Yeah, the Millwall game as well.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
He was. I don't know what happened to him. I think something about his attitude from what you hear snippets from the club, but he's on. I looked him up on Instagram the other day. He's just like an influencer now, I think, and
Right.
I don't think he plays professionally anymore, or if he does, it's very like occasionally, very like semi-pro stuff.
Oh, nice.
Funny how these things go.
Yeah, absolutely. Next one.
Okay, so Jeremy, can I ask you a question?
Of course.
Is this a romantic dinner or is this a general dinner?
You can honestly take it whatever way you want, Morgan. So
Okay.
However you want to play it, however Dan's taking the question, I'm happy to.
Okay, Dan. So if you could have dinner, let's just say casual dinner, with a current or former Norwich player, who would it be and why?
I've been thinking about this since you sent me the questions, and I still don't think I have a proper answer in my head. I was going to ask if I can extend it to managers, because I've picked Daniel Farke.
Yes.
Yeah, go on then.
Because I would pick Daniel Farke. I'd go with Farke. And players, the first one that came to my head was Bradley Johnson, and I don't really have an answer or an explanation why. Because I loved him. When I first started going to games, that was the season he scored like 15, 16 goals. So he's like a hero in my eyes.
Yeah.
Let's say Farke for manager, Bradley Johnson for player.
Yeah, good. Morgan, I'm going to chuck that question across to you. I'm hoping you got an answer.
I didn't actually at all. Chris Sutton, absolutely Chris Sutton, or 100% all day long. Would love to hang out and go for a beer.
Yeah.
Because I just think he's a great pundit. He was a great player for Norwich during one of the best times of our club. And I just think he's got this element of cynicism that is just it's perfect, and he needs a break from that other loon that he co-presents with.
Robbie Savage?
Robbie Savage. Yeah. So Chris
Robbie Savage, who had the probably biggest influence on Norwich City's promotion about 15 years ago.
You mentioned that before, yeah.
Well, literally, he was, what was it, against Derby, wasn't it, when we were 2-2? I know Dan mentioned it earlier on, the Simeon Jackson goal against Derby, but had he not taken about 5 minutes to walk off, then we wouldn't have scored that last-minute goal. So, I think, as much as I'm with you on that opinion of Savage, I think he's actually probably done Norwich City a favour down the years somehow, in a strange sort of way. I think for me, I completely agree with Dan. I love Daniel Farke, and I'd love to sit there as and I'm doing my inverted comma fingers here, amateur football manager myself, or at least coach these days. I'd love to sit there and just talk to him about that season and about how him and Stuart Webber did what they did to get that, to get to where they were. I think player wise, I think Shane Duffy would be a bit of a laugh. I mean, I don't know how much dinner you'd have. I think it'd be more on the wine or the beer. But
I think you'd probably have to let him stay at your house, though, Jez.
Yeah.
Let's not go there.
No, definitely not. But no, I think he would. I just think he'd be a laugh, and maybe someone like Wesley Houlihan, I think would be pretty funny as well. Have you just on that, Dan? So, have you had the fortune of meeting any of the Norwich players in real life?
Not for dinner, not for a romantic dinner.
No, just in general.
I've had some conversations in passing, but no proper meetings. No.
Fair enough. Excellent.
I've met Daniel Farke.
Have you?
Do you know about that story?
Oh, that was you sent me the photo. It was that pre-season, wasn't it? Somewhere.
It was pre-season at Kings Lynn, yeah.
Oh wow.
So Dan, I met Daniel Farker and just for a photo, and I thought I'd pull a funny face because it's like this
Right.
face. It's this face that me and my mate pulled, like photo bomb people. That was a few years ago when I was a bit younger and a bit more foolhardy. Anyway, I did a photo. He didn't notice, and I didn't think anything more of it. We just lolled. We just had a loll at the fact I looked so silly. But anyway, the next day my mate was scouring like the EDP online, the Pinkin online, whatever, and going, it messaged me at work saying you should check out the last photo on the Kings Lynn pre-season reel. And I was like, okay, cool. So I scrolled down and there was a photo of me with Daniel Farker that one of the proper photojournalists had taken from afar, from the side. You can clearly see that I look like, they're doing me a favor by taking, like, by Farker posing with me. Anyway, subsequently, the next day or something, a few days later, they put that massive image of my stupid face on the back of the EDP saying Farker feels transfer pressure has eased. So what became a little bit of a joke kind of got out of hand a bit much like this podcast, Jez?
Yeah, absolutely.
I had an experience with a manager, not to that scale, but I was walking. I think it was for an academy game I'd went to with my mate at Carrow Road, and I was walking down the street, down the side of Carrow Road afterwards, and Alex Neil walked past, so it would have been 2015, 2016. I went to shake his hand casually, and he reached my hand and just shook my arm.
That's so awkward.
And neither of us said anything, and we just kept walking. That's the only time I've met Alex Neil. So
fantastic. I love little stories like that. That's absolutely superb. For me, I've actually sat down with Max Aarons and had a coffee with him and his dad, who's a lovely bloke, by the way. When he was with us, but he was only in the academy at that stage, so he hadn't broken through. But he's from Luton, or at least near Luton, and we sat there and just he's a really, really nice young man. I knew he'd go on to be successful, and it's everything you'd want to be in a professional footballer, not someone that's no disrespect to some footballers, but so I think I can find some footballers be a bit arrogant sometimes, and perhaps rightly so. But Max had his feet firmly on the ground, and you could tell that he was going to go on and be successful. And Leon Barnett as well has coached my ladies teams a few times. Again, lovely bloke, always comes across really well. So, I think that's testament to, the type of character that Norwich like to have it within their club.
Yeah, I think we've made a few wrong moves, and I think it's easy to forget some of the absolute stinkers we've got in. I think one that sticks out in my mind. I know we're going off on a tangent, but such is a podcast. Ben Marshall. Opinion either of you?
Well, I mean, he didn't really do an awful lot, did he? I think we signed him, and he had a bit of shall we say, a bit of a reputation that he might be actually quite a decent player, but I think he maybe played about half hour for us, didn't he?
He got an assist against Birmingham on his debut, I remember, one of Onell's 2 goals. He played right back, if I remember right.
That's true.
And
he didn't have many positive things to say about being at Norwich, because there's a video podcast or whatever with him on it, and he talks about his time as a footballer and stuff, because I think he's more or less playing in lower leagues now, just because he didn't want to train anymore and just wanted to get on the lap. That's fair enough, but I think
if you earned enough money, I guess.
Yeah, well, I guess so. But have some respect for the places that have paid your wages, no matter what the experience is. You're privileged to be in that place, and you should respect the club that you've played for. So, but
absolutely.
Anyway, that's me just going off on a rant. I'll stop now.
No, as you said, that's what it's all about. So, 100%. And so moving on to question 8. What's the one game you wish you could relive?
Oh, we've spoke about it like 3 or 4 times already, but I'm going to have to go back to it and just say that Millwall game from 2018. Was it around Christmas time? It had everything. It had everything. We were in front, we were behind, scored 2 in stoppage time, last minute winner. You just got some great goals. Leitner scored from outside the box.
Yeah. I'd agree. I've got a couple more, if I may. But just before that, I think we haven't really discussed it yet, Morgan, on the pod. But the Force in the Manqua double the other week, wasn't that just so Norwich City?
Yeah, of course it was.
Just like completely rubbish, really, for the whole game. And I sat there thinking, something might happen here. We might be lucky to get a draw. And then I wasn't expecting it to come from, no disrespect to Forson, but I've seen glimpses of what he can do, but I didn't think he was anywhere near ready. But the first goal was exceptional. The second work was down to obviously O'Neill's hard work on the wing and strength to whoever that was off the ball for Coventry. But yeah, I think that was pretty special, and I wish I was there to witness that. But I think the two for me, Man City at home a few years ago, which was just unbelievable. And I mean that was the loudest I've ever heard Carrow Road, and the Wembley game against Middlesbrough.
Yeah.
I unfortunately didn't go to Wembley for that one. So
What?
Yeah, well, this was again that could go back to when I was a bit younger. I didn't have enough money to buy my own tickets. So I gone off a bit of a tangent. But I said to my stepdad, "Oh yeah, get the tickets." He's like, "Yeah, I'll get them tonight." And then the next morning, I'm like, "Oh, try again." And he's like, "Oh no, sorry, they went out. Well, I forgot to get them." So we went to the pub and watched it instead.
Oh well, at least you watched it. I nearly died at that game.
Yeah.
Actually, when I got too excited and nearly fell backwards, and then my friend pulled me up by my jumper. So I had to bounce surf my way down the stadium onto the pitch. I mean that one is a great one to relive. I think another one for me would probably be a bit of a false dawn. So it was when we played Bournemouth when we went up with Alex Neil and we beat them 3-1 at Carrow Road. And it was Robbie Brady and Matt Jarvis on the left wing, or I can't remember, left or right, I can't remember. Anyway, they were just in sync, and we played Bournemouth off the park. And I was like, could we actually do this? Can we stay up? I mean, it was early doors. It was like September time or something, but I just remember feeling really positive about that season. And I think it was after we got beaten 5-2 by Newcastle that things just kind of started to unpick themselves. And as it always does for us sometimes, well, regularly in the Premier League. And but it's a hope that kills, right, Ipswich?
Well, speaking of that season, one game you could throw in there as well is against Newcastle from that season when we played them at home. Sort of might have been February sort of time after Tim Closer had come in. Yeah. Martin Olsen scored a last minute winner 3-2. And I remember being in that game and thinking that we might have a chance of staying up here.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that.
Mbakani scored an absolute.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Mbakani. God, now you're talking.
Yeah,
that was great.
Yeah, that was good, wasn't it? It was superb. Yeah, I think as I said, you mentioned the Forson the Mancra game, which is that's what it's now going to be known as. I think that's just typical Norwich City, isn't it? I think we never. I've always said to my friends that don't support Norwich, never bet on us because you'll lose. If you bet we win, you'll lose, and if you bet that we lose, you'll lose. So it's no, it's no consequence. Like you just don't have to put Norwich in the accumulator because they'll let you down.
Yeah.
I think the point I was going to make is, it is exciting, I think. And I mean, it must be the same for other clubs that, you think that the thousands of games that are played over a set amount of time, it's always going to throw up a certain result, but it does seem to be quite regular with us.
Yeah, it's in the blood. It's the Norwich way.
Yeah, I think the season where we went up where Grant Holt, I think he scored a couple of last minute goals, and I'm struggling to think of the teams that we beat back then, but there was two games that sort of championship season, the season we got promoted from League One. There was a couple of games in that season where obviously the Simeon Jackson one for sure, but there was a couple of games earlier on in that season where and again it may have been Millwall. I'm not for them, but there was a couple of that season where we got the last minute goals as well. So yeah, Morgan, next question, please.
Okay. How do you think the club can better engage with younger fans?
Yeah, this is a difficult one because, well, I hadn't actually thought if it was an issue or not, to be honest. I'm 26, I don't know if I class myself as young anymore.
I think you're younger than Jez.
I'm not really sure. Maybe it's just because it's my personal experience, but I've never really felt like I've needed the club to engage more with me as a younger fan. So I think I think the availability of season tickets is something that probably needs to change because you've got such a high percentage of over 65s as season ticket holders at Carrow Road. So maybe if there was a bigger bulk of season tickets available to younger fans who can then properly get into it and go week in, week out, they might get more hooked on supporting Norwich.
Yeah, I think there's a wider question here about the size of the stadium and the catchment area of the club in general. And I think that as a club we do well, for attendance. Maybe it dips in and out, but I think that there is definitely a wider question about how to develop or how to get a pathway. It's similar to the first team in the academy, but like seriously, how to get a pathway through for younger fans who want to see games but can't because of the size of the stadium. And I think there has to be some kind of balance between like what you've just said there, Dan, about how do they address that? How do they kind of make that sure that there is an interest for younger fans coming through for the club, because it is too easy to go and support Chelsea, Man City, Arsenal when you're from here. But what are they actively doing to make sure that younger Norwich fans or potential fans can come to the games? I think there's got to be something potentially they need to sort of embrace a little bit more, maybe.
Because if you can't get a ticket to go and watch Norwich, and you're not going to support Norwich, you're going to support a team that's doing better when you can watch them on TV. That's just the unfortunate truth.
Yeah,
agreed.
They do a lot of good stuff with the cups. I went to the FA Cup game last week, and there was quite a lot of younger fans there. And I think it was 24k tickets they sold, so it's a pretty decent turnout for an FA Cup game. I don't think they're going to get hooked on a 4-0 loss, but
yeah.
I think at least they're in the stadium.
No, agreed. And for me, I think there's three things here. I think it's how you reach out to community. I think Norwich do that really well in some aspects. I don't know what they do in terms of school enrichment. So I don't know if Norwich send coaches into the schools. And then you never see a Carrow Road these days at half time, or it may happen before the game, but I've got to be completely honest and truthful. I'm never there much before 5 to 3. Sorry. But I never see. Do you remember back in the day when they had school kids go in there and play?
So I remember that.
Set up little 5-a-side pitch. Why can't they do that at half time? That'd be so. The half time crossbar challenge is all right, but it's droll, isn't it? Why don't you get some kids playing, doing little 5-a-side games and stuff? And
I remember they did one. I think it's like 2017 was the last time I remember seeing something like that.
Yeah, and I mean, I go and watch a few clubs locally, and they do that, and it's that engages with the community. You got as I said, you got the coaches going into the schools. That would be, and again, they may well do that, but I don't know if they do. And I think as well is they need to make Carrow Road bigger to accommodate.
Yeah, but I mean, this is an age-old question, though, isn't it, Jez? Like the Carrow Road capacity has been, that's been thrown up so many times over however many years. I mean, you just trawl through the pink and you see the same thing time and time again. I think there just needs to potentially be a bit more of a I don't know, review of how to kind of entice younger. I mean, the drummer in the Barclay, I think and I know he's a controversial figure for some, but I think that's great. I think that to generate an atmosphere, we've all been in Carrow Road when it's been like a library. You may as well have go to a library, some of the football I've seen, but to generate like an atmosphere, all power to the guy, and I think that energy, that level of youth energy needs to be brought into Carrow Road more. And, it's a question that they need to resolve. I know they're trying, but I think it's something that needs to be looked at a little bit more.
Yeah, no, I agree. Okay, so I think we've reached the final question, haven't we?
I mean, this is pretty much a segue into what we just said, really. If you could change one thing about Carrow Road, what would it be?
Well, I've got a bit more abstract than just expanding the stadium and stuff like that. And this is proper content, but I would change the sausage rolls.
Yes, Daniel, love that.
So I'm gonna go on a bit of a rant here, but
no, go on.
They used to have the party sausage rolls, the sort of ones you'd get from a bakery, nice, small, easy to eat without covering everyone around you in crumbs. And now, since the start of last season, they've gone with the proper thick, like butcher's sausage rolls or something. They're huge. And so I thought, I went on my own on Saturday. I don't usually. I thought I'd get a sausage roll at half time, taken back to my seat, and I feel sorry for everyone who sat near me.
Mm. They've got a real sausage to what's it called? Pastry ratio, haven't they? They've got it completely wrong.
Sausage to hand ratio is huge.
Be careful what you say, Dan. This is a family podcast. I've had one of those sausage rolls, and they've saved my bacon, no pun intended, because they soaked up a few of the beers. So I don't have a problem with those sausage rolls whatsoever.
Yeah, well,
I'm an advocate for the pucker pies. That's my one change to carry.
What, to bring back the puckers?
Well, that's the brand of sausage rolls.
Oh, really? I love pucker pie. The actual pies themselves. Last one I had at a football game was Brentford. That goes to show how long ago it's been since I've had a pie at a football ground. So there you go.
Wow.
So my big change isn't anything revolutionary, but I think it would help a lot of people.
I do think there needs to be some consideration with this, because I think, just sort of going, sorry to bleat on about it, but I do think another 4,000 or 5,000 seats, then they can start doing what you suggested, getting that younger fan base interested in coming. Get them. I remember my first season ticket was £17. I don't think, this is going back 20 years. So of course I'm not expecting it to be £17 now, but 40, 50 quid for a child under the age of 16. I'm not being funny, but I'm sure the club can afford that, couldn't they?
Yeah.
They definitely need to do some sort of like discount or way to promote it to a younger kids to make it. So when you're looking at younger kids, what you're really looking at is what their parents think, because they're the ones who are going to pay for it. So you need to make it appealing for the parents. Think, yeah, I'll go and buy this for them. And you're not going to do that at current prices.
No, it's extremely expensive, especially with how things are. I think for me, the toilets, please, just change the toilet to make them nicer. I really don't want to be peeing in an industrial zone. I just want a nice toilet. That's all I ask for. And some more hand dryers that are like having granddad breathe on your hands when it's just, so you just, that's all I want.
That's interesting.
I saw a Southampton fan tweeting last week. Their football club's in an absolute state at the minute, but their toilets were covered in mould and had someone, I don't know how this happened, but someone had scribbled in writing all over the walls with a pen. So theirs looked like an absolute bin.
That's nice
That
of
could be
them.
worse.
Yeah. Is it that time, Jez? Do I get to unleash it?
Yeah, I know I haven't done a jingle, so I apologise. But for next time, I will have fully composed and what's that famous Little Britain sketch? Wrote the theme tune, sung the theme tune. Yeah. I would have done all that for you. So yeah, today I don't know. Morgan's random question of the week.
It's not Morgan's. It could be either or. But anyway, it goes like this: random question of the week. There you go. Dan, it's been a fiery week of football madness. Nottingham Forest drawing against Liverpool, battling at the top end. Ipswich think they're safe because Wolves got smacked, and so did Leicester. What's going on? What has been your football moment this week?
Oh, I put me on the spot here. Football moment of the week. Football moment of the week. I'm going to say Chris Wood's goal against Liverpool, just so I can highlight the fact that Chris Wood scored about 14 goals this season already.
He's like Glenn Murray all over again. He's Glenn Murray in disguise.
And the fact that he's led Forest to, as it stands, I'm pretty sure, second in the Premier League in January, which is absolutely mental.
It is. It's crazy because I had them nailed on to be like bobbing around the bottom, probably preventing Ipswich from safety, but they're second.
Yeah. I have a bit of a chip on my shoulder with Forest, because they spent hundreds of millions and we've never been able to spend any for the Prem. Sort of in the back of my head, I've always wanted.
Yeah. I'm so jealous. I'm literally burning with envy.
And the fact that we've wasted a lot of money in the Premier League. When they signed Chris Wood, I think most people would probably say he's past it. He's not going to get back to when he was at Burnley, and he's just gone on to be like the New Zealand R9. Yeah, it's just mental.
No, he's done well. Daniel, thank you so much for coming on, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure.
It's been great fun, yeah.
I will. This is going to go out probably in a couple of weeks' time, so please feel free to share it to your audience on X. And if you got anyone that you'd want to sort of like not say hello to as such, but if you got anything you want to plug, did you want to plug your publication?
No, everyone just keep listening to this.
Oh, thanks. We'll try not to annoy people. I'll try to be less energetic next time.
Morgan, it's that time. It's your famous sign off.
I don't know what it is, but I'm just going. I've been Morgan Hewitt.
I'm ready for this week. So I'm Jez Davies.
And
we've had the wonderful views of Dan Emery. And if anyone would like to follow us on Facebook, Twitter or Instagram, we are available on there. And you can listen to the show on YouTube. Thanks for listening.
We're also available for home visits as well.
Well, I don't know about that. I know you are, but I'm very much an audio soundbite as opposed to a
That's it for this episode of Beyond the Barclay. Thanks so much for listening. Your support means the world to us. Don't forget to follow or subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and leave a review if you enjoyed the show. You can also catch all our episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. And if you've got any questions, stories, or topics you'd like me to cover, get in touch. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, on the Ball City.